Good morning. Has anybody ever had to wear one of those neck braces before? Like the big, not the lampshade, but I put on a new collar this morning, like a brand new one from Rome, and it's this like linen crisp, starched beyond all belief, and I can't move my neck right now. So anyway, the Magnificat is one of my favorite prayers. It's this beautiful canticle of Mary whereby she proclaims God's greatness. Translation varies, right? It's called the Magnificat, which sounds like magnify, but then we sometimes translate it as my soul proclaims the greatness of the Lord. But my soul magnifies the Lord. My soul doth magnify the Lord, right? My soul makes the Lord more visible. My soul makes it so that you can more easily see the Lord. My soul makes it so that you can better see the details of who God is, right? Mary makes Jesus clearer for us. Mary makes Jesus more apparent, more visible to us. She doesn't take away from him. She points us toward him. And so she's really a great example for us to have my soul magnify the Lord, right? Through my words, through my actions, through my thoughts. Do we magnify the Lord? I often wonder why people that used to go to church don't go to church anymore. I've been thinking about it a lot the last 3.5 weeks of Advent as we get ready for Christmas. And ultimately it comes down to something, usually it's some offense, right? Someone said something or did something that upset me, and then I just kind of walked away and didn't really, recognize the relevance of the church. And so in our own lives, what do we do to magnify the Lord? What do we do to magnify his presence so that others can see him? So that others can recognize him? So that others can recognize that he's here in our midst? So that others can recognize that he comes to us, that he wants to be among us, that he comes to dwell among us, right? Not just in a pillar of fire, not just in a cloud, not just in a burning bush, but that he actually really makes himself present to us, that he's with us, that he gives himself to us, that he presents himself in the humble package of a child. Through our own lives, what can we do to magnify God's visibility in the world? Have you invited somebody to come to Mass with you on Christmas yet? Invite someone to come to Mass with you on Christmas. Someone who stopped coming to Mass after COVID because they were like, oh, the church isn't relevant. She even said so, she shut down. Or someone that just for whatever reason, because someone said something, because a priest, believe it or not, said something stupid or insensitive. Just invite them back. Say, come to Mass with me on Christmas. Magnify God's presence to those around you. Magnify God's presence to your families. When you're sitting around the table, dinner, and there's 15 or 18 or however many people, magnify God's presence, right? When you have your little grandkids in your house and you're all excited, because here you are, you moved here so you can live near your children and your grandkids, and they're all there, and you're like, oh, why don't these kids go to church? Why aren't these grandkids baptized? Or worse, why do my kids go to one of those mega churches where they say, all you have to do is just say, I believe in Jesus, and then, but out of obedience to God, you have to get baptized, even though it doesn't do anything, but you have to do it. Kind of makes you scratch your head. As you're wondering all that, how can you better magnify God's presence to your family? Or, your sibling that never married comes over, right? And you're like, oh, great. The weird uncle or the weird aunt is here. What's he going to say? That's me in my family, except instead of not marrying, I became a priest, and so the weird things that I have to say are usually church-related, or not, actually. That's not true. Sometimes I just say things to see what reaction I can get out of my family. But magnify the Lord in your home. Magnify the Lord among your family members. Magnify the Lord among your friends, right? You got that one neighbor that is a burden, right? It's always calling, asking for help, something, right? She's a widow or whatever it might be. Take her a plate of food, right? Say something even more kind to her than you normally would. Magnify God's presence. As we continue with this Mass and we continue with these next couple days of preparation before Christmas, let us reflect on the ways in which indeed we can truly magnify God's presence in our lives, but more importantly to those around us.